when I had short hair. That was COVID. Well, my name is Angie Grover, and I'm the co-founder and CEO for Metopio. And people don't really get emotional about data, but literally seeing you all in this room chokes me up a little bit, because the work that we do and why Metopio exists is because we want to empower people to take data and focus their efforts on communities that are under-resourced in a way that's meaningful and that you can track change. So the fact that you are all here, you're all going to use data and you're all going to take it into the community and make it actionable, like, really does make me almost tear up. So we work across the country with organizations. I have to say, the group that we've worked with has been above and beyond phenomenal with the expertise and the care they've brought to the site. So I get to give you a tour. I do this almost every day on our platform. I also want to give a shout out to whoever put this amazing package together that will also help you understand and get around the site. But our hope is that by putting data in the hands of the public, we can build healthier, more resilient communities. And so I'm going to just take a couple minutes and give you a tour of the site, because seeing is believing. This is where the magic happens. And so there's lots of resources, because you guys have been invested in the community for a long time, and we've organized them so that you can dig into those vital conditions of well-being. So addressing whether you call them social determinants of health, health-related social needs, whatever it may be that you're concerned about, this is not only about the individual, but the community that they live in. So all three communities here in the Tri-County area. So if I was coming here to look at data, I could pick a place that I care about, and this dynamic site gets you beyond a dashboard. So I just want to give everyone, how many people have gone to a dashboard and they show you a county against the state and it's not the one you want? Like, that is so frustrating, right? You have work to do, and how are you ever going to track down that data? And so we have counties, zip codes, cities and towns, and census tracts. So you can look for the place that you care about. I just drove by. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Oh, what did I do? It's not my computer, so I'm not well versed on it. Hang on one second. So I just drove by Nina, right? Nina? Yeah. So, I pull that up. I can now dive into Nina if I wanted to, or I can choose any one of the topics. And this is one of the cool things about the work from the Life Study and from this group moving forward under the 7 vital conditions. They're organized under those categories. So you can dive into any one of them, click in here, and you can see all the categories. You can use this to look for maybe income. The data dictionary is really meant to be easy for you to use keywords to find things that you're interested in. I'll use this filter because it also shows you how the data governance works, which is really important. Rachel talked about all the technical documentation. This is meant to be a resource to build data literacy and data confidence. I don't know about you guys. One of the funny things is older adults are now defined in lots of different ways. I'm now an older adult, and I think when my 13-year-old is learning Python. So there's a whole bunch of us in between that learning Python and in the workforce that we need to use data, but we're not data scientists. So this is built for everyone. I am not a data scientist. I have a data science team who does all of this data curation, so you have it at your fingertips. So it's meant to be really easy. You can look through any one of these layers. I always joke census tract is so awesome because it gives us granularity, but no one knows what census tract they live in. Does anybody know what census tract they live in? Awesome. Let's talk afterwards. You may probably know a precinct or something too. But so here are all the layers you can access. You can type in that place like Nina if I wanted to. We also have longitudinal data. So outside of COVID, these data sets come from public entities. And so they don't change a whole lot very quickly. And so you want to look at that over time. So we upload as much of that as we can across the longitudinal or across those data sets so you can see that change over time. And then stratifications are super important. This is where we get to dive into disparities and subpopulations. How does something impact a population differently than it looks when you look at the whole population?
So I'm just going to type in my favorite topic here, which is median household income. Let's see, where did we go? Here we go. And you can see all of that data is there. You can tell what it is. It gives you a definition, the units, the time period, if it has stratifications, and that citation. So a lot of times when we're working in data, we see people have access, people who have access to the data don't always have lived experience, and people with lived experience don't always have access to that data. So how are they supposed to advocate for themselves? How do we level that playing field? So this is really about bringing not only data literacy, but data equity to the conversation. I'll just dip into this real quick because this is where all the data nerds in the room can find all of their technical documentation for how this topic was curated. So if you've ever done a data presentation, someone's always like, where did you get that data? And you're like scrambling for your citation. It's here at your fingertips. And I can say that I get median household income from ACS table B19013. That pretty much shuts them up. They know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. And so if they went back to that table, they would find the same data that you have. So now for the cool stuff, I'm going to jump in and visualize this topic. So it's going to give me all 3 counties at the county level. But everything is customizable, and that's what makes it so great for the community. You can get what you need. So we can go to the census tract level. You see each of the counties are outlined here, and we can dive into any one of these census tracts. You'll see the tract number and its value there in the upper left-hand corner. Wherever I go, I get that definition with that green eye, so I'm never caught off guard about where I'm getting the data. But I think most people don't know where their census tract is. We're going to use zip codes. You'll see that the joy of America is not everything fits in a box. And so the zip codes go outside of our 3 counties, but obviously they're part of our community, right? So we're looking at median household income on a map. There are a ton of different ways, and I could be up here for an hour, but I'm going to go a little bit fast and refer you to this amazing guide for how to do this and show you a couple tips before I walk away. But you can change the layers as you've seen me do. We can change the topic right here. Look at this map across different topics. If it has stratifications, you can dive into those. Again, that's where we can look at subpopulations. One of the coolest features is to do a filter. Every topic on this, on the Fox Valley Data Exchange has a slider. Everything is divided into quartiles. So if I want to see where median household income is maybe below the median, I can create that heat map that gives me a focus for where I want to work. It goes either way. I can look at where it's high, where it's low, and I can put additional topics on there. So I can they're not linked, but they're layered. So you can see where they coexist. And in this handy dandy thing, it gives you an address. You can put single addresses on here. So you can type in, maybe the food pantry or, the community center for kids or whatever it may be. And you can put that point on the map. When you're all done, you get to download it. Well, there are map settings. You can change background and color. So really create whatever you need. But you can also download either the image or the Excel file. So again, for our data folks who just need the data to put in your own models or your own spreadsheets, you can download it. Or you can just take this image and put it in the grant application and say, fund us, because we want to work here. And so that's pretty powerful. Yeah, easy peasy. Just download a map and get some money, right? I wish it was that easy. So one of the, another thing I didn't say about the data, just 2 things I want to point out. None of this is PHI or PII, so no personal health information or personal identifiable information for anybody in the healthcare sector. We did this on purpose because we want this to be shareable and actionable. And so there is no personal information on this. And most of these sources are surveys. There's not a lot of count data on here. So you'll see these little tiny I bars at the top. That's the confidence interval or the margin of error. So these things are always at your fingertips so that you have all the data that you need to make decisions. This is median household income. So I'm going to do my favorite stratification here. And I'm going to show you by race ethnicity. So that was pretty easy just to dive into those subpopulations. And again, you can customize this in any way. So the last thing I'm going to show you is this ranking table, which is very cool. This gives you the rank. So we were on the county layer. But if we wanted to dive into your favorite census tracts, we could go all the way down to the census tract layer, and we can rank from the highest to the lowest. You can do this across multiple topics, and you can focus in on certain areas. And really, this is the data table that goes along with that map. If we created a heat map, you might want to create this data table so you have that data right next to the map, and then nobody can catch you otherwise. You have all the data that you need. Again, everything is downloadable, customizable. And if you think that I talk fast, I have got some tips for you in terms of how to get additional help. So we created some video tutorials. These tutorials, there's a couple videos for you. They'll walk you through the key steps. We also have, if I can collapse some of these here on the side, the ability to ask questions here of the knowledge base. So if you are a visual person, you got videos. If you're a written person, you've got a knowledge base that you can ask a question like, oh, she did that map. How am I going to get that map back? You know, you can customize your maps right here, and it'll support you on the screen. And you know, we've talked about, you know, the organization. I know we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into the vital conditions for health, but really our hope in supporting your fantastic group is that the technology is just the conduit to the action you all take to come together, organize around whether you're doing a community health assessment. We do those across the country. It's nice to have them, and it's nice to put them out there so people understand, but have them take their piece of it. Maybe you work on food issues, or maybe housing. I'm a housing first advocate. I do a lot in housing, and that's a top tier issue these days. Maybe that's my lane, but we all need to work on these issues across the board in order to make our communities richer and more healthy.